officer in Burnaby. I have been stationed in Burnaby since 2015. Last February I retired as a commissioned officer and inspector, and I went to Mexico for 5 weeks and came back and swore back in as a constable. So I'm still working in Burnaby as a police officer, working on a project. We're building a new detachment in Burnaby, and that's my full-time job right now. And I have all these other ideas that I still want to do. And I'm just finishing up 38 years of service in the RCMP. Wow. So if you think I look old, that's because I am. I'm not even sure Sahar was born when I joined. I live alone. I have 2 cats. I have 5 grandchildren, 2 sons, and I work a lot, right?
Yes.
Okay, Sahar.
Thank you. My name is Sahar Manucheri. I am with the Burnaby RCMP. I haven't been working as long as she has, but I've been with Burnaby RCMP for 5 years. I came from the Burnaby Mental Health and Outreach team until last Friday. I was in that unit for 2.5 years, so I do work closely with the vulnerable, as we call them. I do have a charity called Warming the Homeless, so it touches my heart. It's a personal charity. I've had it since 2014. So helping has always been part of my life, not only as a cop. I am married to a retired police officer. He just retired, 36 years of service. So policing has been in the family, as we say. But right now I'm in the community response team, and I'm happy to be here. Hopefully I can answer some questions.
You're amazing.
Thank you.
I love Sahar.
I appreciate you. I love you too.
So the first, are we good to go, Pat?
Yep, good to
Okay.
go.
The first topic that I want to dive into is on reporting and the importance of reporting. And I want to demystify, come on in, yeah. I want to demystify as humans what kind of gets in the way with reporting. So prior to, I've had different roles in Burnaby as a police officer, but for 7.5 years, I was the community programs officer. So I was in charge of the school liaison officers, victim services, police mental health, all kinds of sections, restorative justice, CRT. So all the teams at the detachment that would work closely with the community in crime reduction strategies and helping people to feel safer. So what our biggest problem has always been, you can be my timekeeper, start breathing heavy on me if I get lost. People are reluctant to report, generally. It's not a Burnaby problem. The communities, one of our challenges in community programs is somebody would complain to front counter would send it up to me, and then it would be, well, we have crime in our neighborhood or something's happening, and we run our stats and check our computer systems and there's no crime. We looked it up and there's no files. So we're like, okay, so this person's worried and they're seeing all these activities, but we have no crime. So one of our biggest challenges in policing is people not reporting. The downside, of course, is if you have to phone ECOM, you will be on the phone a very long time. And so people sit on the phone and then they hang up. So this is a problem. We now have a non-emergency call center in Burnaby that's taken the pressure off a bit. But the point of the reporting is what I want to jump into is our brains go, if I call the police, it can be bad. They're going to get in trouble. What's going to happen next? And what we're not thinking about is all of the resources or all of the downstream things that may become necessary that are now eliminated because there's no police file. There's no file. So then somebody, say there's an incident, somebody says this happened this time, and this time, and we look at the computer system, and at best there might be one report. So now we don't have that body of information to advance to not just the courts, but to other social agencies that are designed to help. And Sahar, you can talk about the other teams that you guys worked with when you were on PIMHOT, that maybe just to shine a bit of light on that. But there's the ability to leverage other services for people in need often happens as a result of a police interaction and getting a file number. Like that's so critical. The other challenge is they're already leading a troubled life. Having the police come and talk to them and take them maybe to a justice, maybe not. Maybe they just get a court document. The judge will hear their story and then say, then you need counseling, or you need, shame on you, don't do that again, and release them. Like, nobody's going to jail and staying in jail for these things. They are not spending a night unless they're heavily intoxicated and can't look after themselves. They are not staying in jail. So you're not the bad person. It's really helpful. It's so helpful. They know that we're going to reach out to, the team that Sahar just came out of. They're going to look at other resources and other help. So the big mechanism of involving the police, not the least of which is the personal safety, which is coming, and this will all start to feed together, is that it allows us to leverage the police, leverage other systems to, even if nothing comes of it. Even if the police just give you a file number as the complainant, say, we're too busy, we can't come. We can't come, is the person still there? No, they left, here's the file number. So now you have it, now we have it. And then we all sort of leverage what we need to down the road. So try to ask yourself, if you're worried about calling, if you think it's a bad thing, because it's generally people are more used to seeing us than you are. So it's going to work out. So I strongly encourage that.
You have a lot of time left.
Oh, then you can use it. I'm very confident I'm going to use it.
I can't speak as well as you do, so
yes,
forgive me. But first of all, I want to say thank you for all of you volunteers and what you do. And I can personally understand that you do this from the kindness of your heart, and you're trying to help the community and you're trying to help the vulnerable. But like she said, we sometimes tend to forget the people we're dealing with because of the kindness of our hearts. Therefore, we don't call the police, or therefore we close our eyes on some of the things that we might see, or some of the behaviors that are very obvious, and we don't want to address it. So I don't want to make it sound like a police talk, but try to notice the behaviors. So for instance, if you're seeing someone who is always very happy and smiley, and they always show up and they're always very happy to be there, and you notice that at one point they're not as happy, they're agitated, they're frustrated, you see the difference in behaviors. So try to be conscientious, I guess, of the behaviors you're seeing. So that way, if anything changes or you feel like an escalation in behavior is happening, you are now ready for that change and not just there with the element of surprise, if that makes any sense. Don't assume that just because somebody is always in a good mood, they cannot change their behavior instantly and become assaultive or aggressive. Whether it's verbal, whether it's physical, behaviors can change very quickly. We know that, for instance, just by my coworker who was killed 2 years ago, it was based on the behavior. It changed very quickly, unfortunately. she was killed. Therefore, you need to be cautious of that as well, that behaviors can change. And if you feel that change coming on, there is certain things you need to do to kind of be ready for that. Don't underestimate the capacity of the person to escalate violent behavior. Again, if you are very comfortable with somebody because you've known them for a long time and you don't expect them to behave a certain way, it can change. So always have that in the back of your mind. I know you try to be friendly with everybody and you're trying to be as humble as possible. Keep in mind some of these friends, or most of these people, are not our friends. Some of these people are there for a specific reason, for a specific service, and as much as you want to feel like you are their friend, at the end of the day, they're going to leave and forget what they did 10 minutes ago, if that makes any sense. It's a harsh reality, but that's just the way it is. Their lifestyle, I hate to say it, causes it for them to behave that way. So as much as you want to be their friend, there's still a line. You have a job, they have a place. Be familiar with some of the cues. For instance, like I said, somebody's always cheery, somebody's always chirpy, they come in, but the day they show up, they're agitated, you can't really talk to them, they don't want to interact with anybody. Just get to know your cues that this person's behavior is not the same today. Or if they're always very agitated and they come towards you, but now their voice is a little louder than usual, just try to pick up those little hints and cues that, hey, this person might not be in the best of the mood today, so I'm not going to chit chat with them for 10, 15 minutes. Let's just get things rolling. So that way they know that they're there, you understand they're there, and there's nothing more than that, if that makes sense.
So on that, there's other and you folks will know this from volunteering in this field of work and calling. None of us knows, not Pat, Tim, Caitlin, or I, or Sahar, none of us knows what people left the night before, the day before. This is something that's very familiar to us in policing, because we're always getting out of our car and going to something and we don't know what's in front of us. And one of the motives that I had for putting this in our talk today was because of what happened to Shaylin. Now, Shaylin was an experienced person in victim services and mental health. Prior to her career in policing, she was fit, she's tactical. So there's all the things were right. She was familiar with the homeless individual and other individuals. So there was a sense of familiarity. And what I'm trying to impress, on you folks is we think we know, but we don't know. We don't know. We don't know what just happened overnight. We don't know in the 5 days since we saw them the last time how complicated their life had become, what substances they ingested, what other connections in the community that they live in. So one of my two, I have two favorite phrases. One is all behavior makes sense, and often only till hindsight. And the other one is we don't know what we don't know. And so when Sahar talks about watch for the cues and look for, just notice anything that's different. Doesn't have to be good different or bad different. If it's different, start to say, okay, this is not the way they present. You might want to talk about how you can manage yourself personally, as we do, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's things, because that was one of your guys' questions. What do we do if people become assaultive, or if we feel we're going to potentially be harmed? That was a question. So I just wanted to jump in on, if I can get that seed planted, your last interaction with this person a week ago is not the last thing that happened to them. That's the last time you interacted with them, but not what is recent. So it's super important to know that so much changes. Sorry for
No,
cutting your
please.
grass there.
No, you did not. Even like Kathy says, even an hour ago, we all have personal lives. You know, I can go home in a very happy mood, and then just the slightest thing by the retired husband ticks me off, and I can be in a very bad mood in an hour or so. You know, everybody changes their behavior very quickly based on their personal lives, their surroundings. So it can affect people differently. Keep that in mind. But like Kathy said, your safety is number one.
Yeah.
So you need to go home safe and sound. You need to be able to continue your wonderful work. So your safety is priority, okay? Don't feel that if you by any chance stand up for yourself or notice something and you back off and you're not willing to do what you're doing is going to be something negative. It's not. It's your safety, it's your coworker safety, it's the environment safety. So keep that in mind. With that said, we want to discuss a little bit of a safety talk here. I'm not sure what your setups look like, but if you can always have something in between and you and the people you're serving, that gives them an opportunity to stay away from you, if that makes sense. So something like a barricade between you, a table that you guys are serving food on, that is a good distance between you and the other person so that if they do become agitated or aggressive or assaultive, they can't reach you quickly and you would have time to kind of back off. Does that make sense? Yeah. Again, use your voice. If they're yelling and shouting, you can always be like, hey, I need you to stop yelling, because now you're noticing that change of behavior, and gradually this way, by you telling them to stop yelling in a loud tone, your coworkers' attentions are going to come towards you. Others are going to get to know that there's something going on, and you can kind of gradually vacate that area if you need to. Okay?
It's just super important.
Right? Keep in mind, the people you guys deal with, majority of them have some sort of a mental health background or underlying of mental health. There is substance use. There is addictions which we might not know about. Again, there could be trouble that they're having that we don't know about. So keep that in the back of your mind. You don't know what the reason for their behavior could be or what the reason for that changing behavior could be. Therefore, whatever the underlying reason is, it makes them unstable. So always have that in mind, that if you feel like they are from a vulnerable sector of the community, they might have an unstable life. They don't have a job like you. They don't have a family that you might have. You see where I'm going with this? So just keep that in mind. So distance, arm's length, that's a great way to put it. The people we deal with, I know this firsthand because, especially with the uniform, you go up to somebody who might be living in a tent and the first thing they say is, I didn't do anything, get the F out of here, what do you want from me? I'm in a unit, they don't know that. I'm in a unit, I'm with the Burnaby Mental Health and Outreach, I'm just here to check on you. And the behavior changes at times. Or, I don't give it beep beep what you are, I don't want anything to do with you, I don't want any resources, get the F out of here. So now, as calm as I might be, their behavior is still escalating and it's not changing. Therefore, either I can keep pushing it and make him escalate a lot higher, or I can just step back and be like, you know what, I'll come back in another time and just leave the area. Because again, I don't want to provoke someone so that something worse can happen. I'm just there to check on them. So understand those. Their behavior might not always be negative solely because I'm a police officer or you're a volunteer. It's just that they don't want to talk to anybody. A lot of these guys just don't want to talk to anybody. They want to be alone. a lot of them live alone, a lot of them tent alone, a lot of them camp alone. I'm sure you know better than I do that a lot of them don't want to be in big groups or chit-chat. And then there's the opposites, the ones who do like to be around other people, but you'll notice. So everybody's different, behaviors are different. Again, just positioning yourself behind a table or a chair in case you feel something's escalating, or you feel, or in general, with your job, in general, it would be a good idea.
And then I'll jump on the
Please do.
Working in the buddy system and the working in pairs. I like what Sahar said. If someone's voice, one of the best environmental cues that can go out is when you're interacting with somebody and things are shifting and maybe they're getting argumentative. If your voice goes up, and Tim and I have talked about this before, and we have very different styles with engaging in challenging and trauma situations, because we worked together on the board of directors, and we had lots of conversations. So there's the first thing to remember, there's no one right way, right, Sahar? There's no one tactic, police word. There's no one style that's going to work every time. Right out of the gates, there's no magic bullet. So you gotta kind of weave in and out. But what you can do, what it would be ideal for your volunteers, is as you come on, and hopefully we can do that with ours, when you come on shift, you have just a buddy that you're like, that you're my partner today. Yeah, you have your job, I have mine. But in the back of our minds and our ears, we're always kind of tracking where they are. Oh, all of a sudden I see Sahar over there and her voice is getting louder. And we do this in policing all the time. Yeah. In like a noisy party or a domestic or really anything. And the minute we start to hear something shift in our colleagues' verbal communication, we don't become disruptive because we want to be strategic about what we do. We drift in that area. We start to do cover, right? She's engaging, so your partner is engaging. You hear something, you're going to support them. So they can't, they're involved. So you can provide cover. You can go, okay, so that seems like you might see things. You might be able to grab your phone and call Pat, or you might be able to, this is where I'd say, like, if you're not sure, and we'll get a little bit clearer, and you can ask us a whole bunch of questions, you can call the police. It's okay. They're either not going to come because they're too busy, or they're going to come and they're just going to say what's going on. Well, we were just engaged. I wasn't sure how this was going to go. It didn't feel safe. That's all you have to say. It's okay. So anyway, I digress. So as you have a partner, and I hear this happening, I'm going to start going into that vicinity and see what I can do to provide support. That would be a good thing for your volunteers, a good habit to have. You come on shift and you just know who your buddy is. You cannot be buddies with everybody on site that day. So pick a pair and do your pair thing, because you're gonna get overstimulated. And I think Sahar is too, because we talked about this before we did this, when we prepared this. I'm a big fan of, as you come to your site to work, whether it's daytime or dark, always be cognizant of the people in the community. It's ideal if you don't leave alone as a single, with your purse hanging over your shoulder and having worked along, whatever, because people really do want to steal things from you, and that's a fact. So if you can sort of say, well, make sure you got in your car, I'll make sure I got in my car, and we drive away, okay, that's good. So that's what I mean about the buddy system, for sure after dark, for sure. That's personal safety 101, but it does help if you can leave the work site with sort of some anonymity, because you just don't want somebody to hurt you. Or, I mean, people just knocking people down and grabbing their purses happens everywhere. You know, my Canadian friends who I hook up with when I go to Mexico, I mean, she got pushed down on the sidewalk. She was walking with her husband and broke her hip. You know, and this is just normal bad human behavior. So always think about a buddy, always thinking about a pal. When you get in your cars, make sure you can see each other, that you're safe in there. It's just common sense to us, but I just try to ask yourself if you're always watching, if somebody was maybe a volunteer is getting into a bit of a hot spot, and see if you can provide some support. I'm just going to do a little pause, stop check here before we go to this next part here. How does that land for you guys? Is anything jumping up at you before we dump more stuff on your mind? Is there any? Yeah.
Well, it's just that the food bank here, I would say most of our clients are families.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so they're not the homeless. Or
Sure.
whatever. I'm sure there's a certain percentage
Yeah.
that is, but yeah, we are dealing
Good.
with
So that's
families.
good. That's great.
And if I could just add to that, this area here, this part of Burnaby is very multicultural.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of folks have come from here, from all over the world.
That's it. I like what you said about folks that come, newcomers to Canada that have been in very war-torn
For sure,
scenarios,
for
and,
sure.
and trust of the police isn't there, trust of others, higher rates of anxiety and easily triggered. It's just a trauma response.
And fight for whatever you can
Totally. Yeah, that's a really good awareness piece.
Yeah.
So that presents enough of a challenge as well.
get.
And that's,
And we do have some marginalized too.
yeah. Sure. Yeah, you bet. Go ahead. That's great. Thanks.
If something's going to happen, I think the more you can focus on trying to defuse it before it becomes a problem.
100%. That's a really good point. That actually makes me wish I would have used those words before you did. I like that a lot. So diffusing it before it becomes a problem
Yeah.
is part of our actual officer skills training, and it is 100% part of what we do. What I want to piggyback onto what's your first name? Doug? What I want to piggyback on what you were saying, Doug, about liking the buddy system, which I quite like, is noticing that generally your clientele is families, the service you do is nonviolent, and one of the things that can get us into trouble is applying that assumption to everything. They look just like that family there who are lovely and have given us. So sometimes, human biases are very strong things. So you want not to walk around, and maybe you can speak to that if you find a good spot for it, but not to walk around highly suspicious of everybody. 100% no. 100% no. But I acknowledge that sometimes I had this comment in here and I shared it with Sahar, but we see people as we are, not as they are. Credit goes to Brene Brown for that statement. So that's a Brene Brown thing. So you're 100% right. I think that just hearing even a tenor shift in a tone of voice can help with diffusing before, and sometimes things are just going to go to hell in a handbasket, right? They just are. You can't stop it. It is a big deal, but.
Now, is there any way that you can, how we talk about personal space, at least, a few feet away from it?
Yeah.
If you can just be at least an arm length away from somebody, that still kind of gives you time to see if there is going to be a reaction or a behavior. So maybe even that, if you don't have anything in between you, just enough space so that if someone is trying to reach for you, they can't grab you. A little arm length plus.
We might do a little, I
I
might
have
get,
short arms,
I might
so it
get,
doesn't count.
my arms are very long, so
There you
Sahar
go.
doesn't stand a chance. I know you want to say something. We might do a little demo where I can role play the invasive person. Just don't hurt grandma. Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, just to add a sort of maybe a bit of a different angle on this, out on the line. You know, we do, one of the things we've always fostered here, and I don't think it's just projecting from my values,
No.
but is a sense of community.
Of
That
course.
we have a sense of community.
Yes.
And really, you know, people, the line starts to move, we distribute food around 12:30. People will show up at 10 o'clock in the morning. Now, some of that in line, and there's rules about that, you know, how to line up and not coming and going and that kind of thing. We have rules now that work well. But some of that, they come early, it's just human nature. Well, if I come early, I'll get more, I'll get better, or
Yes.
whatever. We actually have the same food all the way through most of the shifts. So, but the other reason they come is it really is community. And they hang out with each other, they talk, and cross-culturally they talk too now. So,
Right.
so there is that, you know, I wouldn't myself personally, I'm out there every Saturday just about, I wouldn't want a distance. But I hear what you're saying about what you just said, Sahar, about having a sense of,
Just a personal
kind of
space.
projecting a
Yeah.
sense of, you know, yeah, don't violate me. And
So yeah, and so you made me think of something. Is that things can be fine, and you don't have to sort of bubble yourself or separate yourself, right? Yeah, unless there's something's twigging, right? When you start to feel your amygdala starting, you get that gut sense. That's kind of that tiny little shift that you can't quite put your finger on. Then maybe you start getting, oh, I remember, what if this is not going well? And you prepare yourself. So if we're getting like that, you'll notice that if Sahar is the cop and I'm the person being, she thinks something's starting to change. So first of all, she's not going to let me stay in her space for long. Actually, they always tell me that, but they'll be fine. So right here, this is what I would do also. So first of all, she's not letting me. Her hands are here. Your hands are not in your pocket. Your hands are not on your purse. You don't have to do anything else. Keep your, and what else has she got as I'm moving? What's her body doing as I'm moving towards her? What's that? So I'm backing, and so where is she at adjacent to me?
I'm not facing.
Yeah.
right.
So she's reducing this space. So if she stays like this with me, I've got a lot. So the whole time, we started out all the way over here, and I knew we never even talked about doing this. This is just me popping it out on the table right now, because now we can put it in your head so you can follow along. Is you can prepare yourself a little bit. So you've got things in your hand, maybe you're doing what you're doing. You can set it down, and you can do, right? She could say, well, I'm not going to have a piece of paper in my hand because I think something's changing. Call the police?
Or you just call it?
Just call the police. So that's the answer to that question that came forward. 100%, even if it's just like this, and they're just, call the police. It is not your job to break up a fight.
Yeah.
Never. You right there and then. 100%.
You can always announce it too.
Yeah.
You have to stop.
Do
because
announce
I am
it.
calling the police.
Yeah.
Sometimes that
Yeah.
causes people
Yes.
to stop.
Yes.
So, but
Yeah.
call us. Even if you show up and they've stopped fighting or pushing each other, they now know that this is serious. The police will show up. And
Even if they stop, let the police come. It's completely okay.
yeah.
We go to hundreds of things that are gone on arrival. Yeah?
So we brought in a whole regime of rules, and and put up the posts and the caution tape and so on. And, you know, it took a little while to take hold, but 90% of everybody out there, volunteers, clients, appreciate the rules. They really do. They're simple, they're fair, they're clear. Okay, so we have to, and I'm looking at Cher, because Cher is my buddy out there on the line, and so is Amber too. She was unable to be here tonight, but she wants to watch the. Anyway, it's our job often to enforce the rules, like as we go along. And every time somebody violates the rules, we can't call the police. And we can, I'd say, 90% of the time, we handle it effectively.
Sure. So enforcing the rules of staying in line and
no fighting.
Sure. So unless you have to think about if they're fighting, it's still, I say it's a bit of a roll of the dice if you're gonna stop people from fighting.
Again, your safety.
I guess that's a personal decision.
No,
That's not a rule. A rule is
No,
assaulting people is a crime. That's not a rule. That's a crime.
But I have stuff.
Okay.
Not
That's a personal
all out
decision.
fisticuffs, you know, all the
Sure.
violent, but you know, arguing back and forth and maybe pushing and
Arguing is not a crime. Yeah.
and so I just say, hey guys, hey, what's going on? No, come on, no fighting, peace.
So if they stop, then good. Then good. Right? So if you're saying if you don't stop, we're going to call the police.
Yes.
Works pretty well.
Yeah, I agree.
Works a lot of the time that I've seen.
Just to say real quick that our job on the line involves a lot of confrontation because of the rules.
Sure.
And there's always people who are trying to skirt the rules, and we call them out. But we call them out in the right kind of way. I mean, not aggressively, not threateningly or anything like that, but just
People, so I see your hand, and there's a hand here. One of the things that, yes, and to what Tim said, their communities, even from a policing perspective, sometimes do not feel safe, even though we look at the situation and we can assess it as being a safe community. We can say this is not a crime hotspot. There are no break-and-enters here. We do not see any evidence of drug trafficking, but a person can still feel unsafe. Yeah. If a person feels unsafe and their safety's at risk, you can call for help. If there's evidence of people fighting and saying, break it up, stop, we will call the police. The police will come. It's pretty effective, but it is important. I have to add on to what you said. You need to feel safe. You can't not be vulnerable to something that you feel you're putting yourself at risk.
But then again, just because he might feel safe,
It's different.
doesn't mean you need to feel
Right.
safe. Does that make sense?
Right,
So
totally.
just because my 7-foot partner might feel safe going into a situation, doesn't mean I get to feel that good going into a situation. So always keep that in the back of your mind, okay? So.
Question?
Where do you call?
Yeah, good question. So it is it's a judgment call. If it's to Tim's point, a low grade scuffle that shows indicia that they're just not going to stop, and it's just going to escalate, I could justify 911. If it's this person is been picking fights, I've been watching them so far. But you can call non-emergency at that point. You don't have to come lights and sirens. It's going to help if the police come. We're going to come. We're going to take their name. We're going to check to see if they have any warrants. They're going to find out, if they got involved with the police last night on the downtown east side. We're going to be able to see all kinds of things.
Okay.
So it's just helpful. It is a little bit not a black and white.
I've had to call for whatever reason.
Totally.
And
I wouldn't say it was chastised, but told
I
this
know.
is definitely the wrong number, but I couldn't find the other number.
Sure, yeah,
So.
yeah. They will do that. Sorry, I'm sorry. I'm sorry about that.
I wouldn't disagree, I just didn't know what else to
Maybe
call.
have, well, everyone knows 911, we all know
Yes.
that, but maybe have the non-emergency number written somewhere
Oh, yeah.
so that you
Okay.
know where it is, or have it saved in your phone so that you know this is the non-emergency number.
And they're lovely. The Burnaby non-emergency staff are very
Yes,
nice. They're great.
Yes.
So, and they will, if you call there, they'll, well, 911's pretty quick, but if it needs to go to e-com for like police fire, they'll say it's police fire ambulance, you say police, what's the nature of your emergency? And you say this, and they say, well, that's not an emergency. And you just say, this is I'm scared, this is the only thing I could think of, that's why I called. Don't let that throw
Don't be
you off.
intimidated. Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah, I know,
Yeah.
that's the risk of calling us
But that's
sometimes.
why I put
Not
forward the
everybody
question.
comes to the table with the right skills.
The circumstances change. So for instance, two people are verbally just arguing. By the time you call non-emergency, now they're fist fighting. You see what I'm saying? It all depends. Even if you're on the phone with just non-emergency and now it's become a fist fight, be like, hey, it's now escalated. I think we need the police here now.
Yeah.
So they could escalate the call if circumstances change.
That's a really good question, though, who to call. Sorry, you had a question or a thought?
Yeah, just going a little bit back here.
Now, did you at any point ask her if you could touch her? Hey, can we help you
We
move?
said, oh, yes, we did. We asked for her permission. We first asked
Right.
if you could.
So that could be another cue with regards to behavior. No, don't you effing touch me. I don't need you to touch me. Now you know that she's already agitated, and if you touch her, that might escalate
She was
pretty fast.
receptive to our
Right,
calls.
so there you go.
In
That
fact, she actually
says,
kind of like came towards me and hugged me, and I wasn't expecting it to, so I just felt a little
I would not like that either, yeah. Yeah.
She did to me.
Yeah, it's, I mean, we come from a very different background where we just can't have people touching us.
Right.
It just can't
I
happen.
didn't know it was gonna happen.
Yeah, yeah. I hear you. So if it worked, good. I have a couple thoughts on that, but you go first. Yeah, would you have done anything differently?
the only thing I said is like, if she is receptive to help, then that could be a good sign. But if she's not willing to let you touch her or get close to her, maybe keep that in mind. Again, you don't know what you're dealing with. It could be alcohol plus drugs plus mental health, which can result into a very different situation, right? Or it could just be alcohol. You never know. So just be cautious. But if you feel like she's not moving, just call us. Hey, we've got someone here who seems to be intoxicated. She's kind of destructive. We show up, we move them, and we probably take care of them until they're sober. And
Yeah, so I could fill in more of this story, right? But I don't want to be the
Yeah.
center of attention here. But there is, it was a more involved kind of thing here. And, right, the three of us were involved with her. I was in the lead, though, and somebody needed to be with her. She was on, it seemed like she was on methamphetamine. And somebody said she had also been drinking, too. She was flying high. I know her pretty well, actually, and you guys know her, too. And so, you know, somebody needed to be, yeah, Steph called early on, the police, but in the meantime, somebody had to be with her. Because she was moving up and down both sets of steps out into the parking lot,
Yeah.
into the middle of the food distribution,
Yeah.
and freaking the clients out. You should have
Sure.
seen their
Yeah.
eyes, some of them,
Yeah.
some of them,
Or
right?
Sam was like, when are they gonna get here? When are they?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
So-
That's a pretty extreme
But in terms of
situation.
that question you asked, would you do anything different?
Different?
You folks arrived. And then when she arrived, it was really good. Things started happening. They apprehended her. There was a nurse here who came
Yes.
with two of the officers, maybe even three officers.
Person, I think was.
Oh, right. you
Yeah.
told me
Yeah,
that.
Officer
Yeah.
Mike spent a lot of time with
Yeah.
us, with me and Steph. She had a whole bunch of questions for him. He was super, and he knows you.
He does. He does.
So
Yes.
that's all I'll say
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah, so again, back to there's no one way that's going to work every time. I had a situation at one of my ORC trips earlier this year where somebody was there to do taxes and they in the old church, and she was really out of it and she kept passing out in her chair. My litmus test of that, when somebody is that under the influence of something that they can't look after themselves, it's really important to involve, like I talked to Beatrix and Teresa after, it's really important to call the police, because when they leave here, they still can't look after themselves. And bad things happen. Is that person going to go to jail at that and sleep it off, or maybe go to Burnaby General, depending on what's wrong with them? But 100%, that's all fine and good to say, well, we managed it, but they're not going to maybe manage where they go when they leave here. They need to be able to look after themselves. So I would like you to call the police when they're very under the influence of something, so we can make sure medically and physically they're able to look after
And
themselves.
Steph did that.
Yeah,
Steph
good.
did.
Yeah, and I hear that. I hear that you were on the phone and
She was,
when you're all that. So super good. So we're just going to stay in question and answers here for a bit.
Sure.
So what
You
other?
had a question, right?
Yeah.
Sure, she's
No, that's right.
unconscious. So I just sort of patted her, trying to wake her up, and like made a loud noise, and I wasn't getting her song.
Right. So that's what I. Yeah. So definitely don't go. So if somebody's, well, I'll just get everybody here. I wouldn't want you to bend, if somebody's passed out on the ground, bend down and try and touch them. When we approach somebody that's passed out on the ground, we're not kicking them, but we're trying to move their leg. And then if we need to touch them, because we have different training, we are going to go all the way around where we are not by their arms and their legs. You're going to position yourself by their head.
Behind them?
By their head.
hair. So
You can't approach somebody on the ground where they still have arms and legs to do whatever. So if you want to do something, if you think it's dire enough for a pulse, because somebody's going to ask you, do they have a pulse? When you call 911, I don't know. You don't have to know, and you don't have to do it, by the way. But then come around from where their head is, because you can't reach backwards, and if they're starting to flip around, you would notice it. So that's what I would say. Do not reach down over top of them when they're on the ground.
I may have.
Yes? Yeah?
this actually takes us to this section.
Yeah, go ahead.
So one of the reasons she is saying not to do that is because when someone's passed out or someone's intoxicated, again, we don't know what the reason for it is. Even if they're very normal families that are in the community who come from backgrounds such as war or something traumatic, their mindset might be a little different. They might have trauma. They might have mental health issues. So you getting close to somebody might trigger something for them that might cause them to react. And that's when things could go very dangerous, if that makes sense. Even with the families, like you said, a lot of them come from backgrounds like war. They might have been involved in that war. They might have lost somebody in that war, or they might have been in contact with an authority that they didn't feel comfortable with, or somebody. So you getting very close to somebody in somebody's personal space can trigger somebody. Again, there's paranoia. they might have mental health issues or some sort of trauma that might cause them to believe something else is happening. So if you're trying to help somebody, they might think you're trying to rob them or you're trying to assault them. So keep that in the back of your mind that there's a lot of factors sometimes that we don't even see. I'll give you an example. When I worked at Lionsgate Hospital in the mental health section, I was assaulted by a gentleman who had gone home from work and he's never had any mental health episodes, but he seemed very agitated. So he goes home and the first thing the wife says is, "What do you want for dinner?" And he just starts escalating in behavior. "I don't want anything, F this, F that," breaks a couple of dishes. She calls the police brings him in. It caused me to break a rib and tear my tendon. It took 11 police officers, 4 of us, but we couldn't control him. That's how angry he was. His wife had no idea why he's so angry. He had no idea why he's so angry. Something triggered him. And that caused my injury, which put my policing process in delay for a long time because I had a tore tendon. But what I'm trying to say is that he was fine when he came to the hospital. He was very calm. He was fine until they told him that he's going to be seen by a doctor, and that's when he flipped out. So it can happen to anybody. It's just a flip of a switch, basically. So keep that in mind. Just because we feel good and comfortable in our own skin, not everybody does. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
Question.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
We've had a couple.
I would say do it. It's really. Would you say do it?
Worst case scenario, it's useless and you delete it.
Yeah. I mean, it's so hard for us when we don't know what somebody looks like and who they are.
Like data privacy wise.
Who cares? They're there.
So
Like-
if you go and you
Yeah.
post it online,
That's-
yes, then we have a problem.
Yeah.
But if you're taking it to provide it to the police so
Yeah.
that I can take it to the hospital and show the doctor what this was happening, that's a different situation.
And to post in here is that like we have a sign so if volunteers see that they're here, they know how to identify
Yeah,
them. So that
totally.
allows them to go.
Yeah. Caitlin?
Wouldn't this be where the buddy system would actually be really beneficial? Because like, see, hypothetically in this situation, right, your buddy is kind of clocking where you are and they're noticing something's getting a little agitated. So when people shove a camera, like put a camera up, everybody in this day and age does get their back up. But if your buddy is over
Yeah,
there
indeed.
and starting to notice, hey, something's not, then they whip out their camera. The person who's getting agitated doesn't notice.
Because
And
they're still engaged with this contact. So,
Police shot me twice.
Yeah.
I was in their place. I was like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and that will ask. So I come from the society, so I'm a guest. I'm doing reconnaissance because I want to steal Kathy for my own presentation. So generally speaking, what you do want to do is dial down the tension, and putting that in, it just naturally dials up the tension. And so that's where a buddy system is kind of advantageous.
Yeah.
And then the other big thing is like, keep in mind, and we say this to our volunteers, whoever is the site manager, whoever's in charge, go find them.
Yeah, that's what.
Yeah.
He was.
Okay, well, that one I can't help you with. Yeah.
In retrospect, when I think,
Whenever you're talking about risk, like risk equals the likelihood times consequence. Like that's how you do a risk calculation. Likelihood times
it
consequence.
takes
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. And so when you're thinking about that, like what's the likelihood of this?
Yeah.
If you feel like you're
Oops.
Because
Sorry.
I had a note to that, we had a very similar situation at the West End site where the client we were trying to record his information and he was getting agitated. He was definitely on something. And so the person is sitting, our person is sitting and he's standing in front. So all he did was just stand up and then confronted him. So now all of a sudden he's the same height.
That's really helpful. Yeah, 100% helpful.
And we banned him as well.
Yeah.
I think we did try to get a photo as well so we could share.
Yeah, it helps. It helps, and there's no, like Sahar says, you're not, other than for safety reasons and to give to the police. It's so helpful. Like help us to find people. Help us to help. Yeah, it's so hard. Everybody's 5 foot tall with brown hair and brown eyes. Everybody's the same when you go to describe them. Nobody's different. So.
No, but if you feel your action is agitating them, you have 3 people there. We're not going to say you guys are all lying, telling us the same story. So if you feel like your phone is now escalating things a lot worse, put the phone away, and then that way.
Safety first.
Wrong?
No, you're not.
Your safety
No.
first,
Yeah.
and then we have 3 people.
100%.
So-
I like that awareness piece because nothing is worth the risk. Just think, what would Kathy and Sahar say? And they would say, have somebody who's doing cover. We don't do anything without cover. Because we know once you're in with the person doing your diffusing, you're going to miss things. So we don't do anything without the contact is the diffusing. We go up, we go down, we do all the things, same as you, but we also have cover. Tracking it, looking. So this will be in the back of your mind. You're going to feel so much more prepared, running things, scenarios through your mind. One of my questions has been, what would you do differently? You might not do anything differently, but it's a good practice, not to ruminate, but to go, there are a lot of options about what could be done to every scenario than the thing we did. There's way more than one way to do something. Even if it comes naturally to you, continue to ask yourself, what would I do differently? What did I miss? What am I at risk of believing? And that's all healthy, but don't ruminate. Don't become suspicious. Don't get anxious. Just use more of your senses. That is going to make a big difference. Yes, Doug. Please do the debrief. It's so helpful.
Absolutely, I agree.
It's a real component, important component of a trauma-informed approach. So if you can sort of put it out in the open, I'm a big fan of Adam Grant and Brene Brown and Simon Sinek and all the gurus on that. But one of Adam Grant's big things is think again or rethink. If you as a group, as a team, can go, the thing happened, you can't unring a bell, here we are, but in a healthy way. Okay, so how did we see things? Always have care for each other around who did what. Always have care and look at it from, there's so many things that we actually are capable of doing differently that just doesn't occur to us. And being able to have that support to think your way through it, whether in a brainstorming exercise or just getting it, like from a trauma-informed approach, just getting it out of you before you go home. It's called expressive writing. So if you take a 10, 15, 20 minutes to do just an expressive writing exercise even for yourself, just to get it out of your head is gonna serve you. It's very helpful.
So slightly different topic. What about like restraining orders and peace bonds? How do you do them? Are they useful?
So if you're doing them through the police, you need to call the police and lay charges. Okay? So a peace bond can come out of a court situation as opposed to a conviction. Yeah, an alternate measure. Restraining orders generally are civil court, and the complainant has to go to court and lay the information. So Some of them happen in civil court, some of them will happen organically as a result of going through the policing process and hopefully offering to participate in some alternative measure, like a peace bond, which
But it
is
depends on charges being laid for
It
any of
depends
those
on
things.
it depends on the elements of the offense being met, and it's under Section 810 of the Criminal Code. So you have to have the offenses. You have to have the statement. You have to be able to have everything you would have had if you were going to go to court. And then you can go to peace bond. Would you say anything differently?
But say an assault occurs and you
Pass
guys
the
do,
test.
and you guys do call us, and we do go with charges, say for charges with just assault. We do have conditions where we now lay the conditions, such as a no-go, so they are not allowed to attend, say, this area, and if they do and you call us, it's considered a breach and we can arrest them right on
Super
spot.
helpful,
So
yeah.
that's another way we can.
I think that's what Officer Mike set up with
Yes,
us.
he asked if he wants to pursue charges.
But then he also said, I said I didn't want to, and he seemed to agree right away. Our lawyer, criminal defense lawyer son, told me that actually it's really not up to the victim here in BC.
For some offenses it is, yeah.
Yeah.
If you don't give a statement, we don't have a charge.
Yeah. Now Mike seemed to readily accept.
Yeah.
He readily did, and
Yes, Sahar, you can read my mind.
yeah, and again, our son said, that would be a hard conviction to get. She was so.
You don't have to get, that's my whole point, so I saw your hand. You don't have to get a conviction. What you want as a group, you want to have a scenario where there's conditions in place until such a time as the matter is vacated by the court. So say it takes 6, 8, 12 months. Those conditions have been in play. If the person is still on a downward spiral, they're going to continue to do similar things. It's going to escalate. They'll get more help. If they go, oh my God, I'm out of control. I need to go to NA. I need to start getting help. Then the conditions are irrelevant because they're not breaching them. So it will go away. But we cannot do that stuff without a statement. There's only certain cases that are exempt from a victim cooperating, and a common assault is not one of them.
Yeah, now, okay, I'm sorry, that kind of got off on a tangent. What I wanted to say, though, is that what I think Officer Mike arranged with us was what you were describing, Sahar, that we have, like, correct me if I'm wrong, but we have banned 3 clients over these years, total ban, maybe 4, but I think it's 3. And what he said in relation to those 2 situations that one day, because that guy had come back that same day that the woman was here, that was weird. What he said was, what we've done is we've banned them for life, and he said yes, and if they show up here, call us, and we will arrest them for criminal trespass.
So that's trespassing. They can still do that. We can still arrest people under the Trespass Act.
Yeah.
So
in lieu of like all that's involved with a restraining order or a peace bond, that's a much bigger kind of thing. But ours is a smaller kind of arrangement here, right?
You can do that without. You can do that anyway. It's private property. If you have asked somebody to leave your property, you can, and they refuse to leave.
Yeah.
The police will deal with it under the Trespass Act. Where the conditions, like I'm a big fan of laying the conditions to answer Pat's question, is better. If you find yourself in a situation again and things repeat themselves, you're sort of starting all over again. So it's just,
Like, we understand that you want to do the right thing and you don't want to build a relationship with that individual that might be a little bitter. But at the same time, keep in mind that this person might go and do something a little worse somewhere else. So it might continue, but it might escalate in its duration, right? So if we arrest and we go with charges and you provide a statement, we provide the conditions, like she said, a no-go. Our court system is not going to be so quick to let us know within a day or two that, hey, yeah, this is happening. It's going to take a while. But at the same time, you've got that, I want to say, protection.
a buffer zone,
yes,
yeah.
that this person has a no-go to this address.
Right.
And if they show up now, we have power to actually act on it because we know.
Sahar made a good point though, what your gal here today, but then at another site with those materials in play, then something else happened to somebody else, then they can use that as a jumping off point because they have this one. And it is helpful because we don't know what happens. I mean, we of course, this is our predisposition. This is our perspective. It doesn't have to be your perspective. I would lean in that direction, but we're the cops. That we have a perspective.
And I agree. And I wasn't just being a nice guy with that. If Mike had said, "No, we're gonna press charges," I would have cooperated. Absolutely.
I think the reason Mike
I
was
mean,
a
in
little...
terms of a statement.
Sure. No, I hear you.
Yeah.
I just know that there. Yeah.
I want to say it was because of the state she was in. Like you say, it appeared that she was intoxicated.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing Mike probably thought the alcohol,
The
he
mens
wasn't
rea
going
wouldn't
to,
be there,
And that's what our son said
right.
too. It's
Yeah.
going to be hard to.
Which is like I'm still okay with that. Still okay with launching the process and just have it peter out. Because you get that window of opportunity where you have some conditions for a bit. Still, because the mens rea and actus rea, so there's hands, Caitlin had a hand, there's hands here. So those are things that you need for a criminal offense. Can a person have mens rea, mental intention to commit the crime if you're that obliterated by your substance? 100% the courts are going to say no. 100%. You don't have to say, well, the courts in 6 months, which is your point, or 9 months from now are going to say no. That's not your problem. That is, this happened now, this is where we're at. The short-term things that could happen before the judge even sees it or hears it provides some time. Like I say, if the person's spiraling, then good that I started setting reminders on my phone because I miss them, and now they're doing like this 911 thing. So there's a bit of a mind shift there. You don't have to worry. It's not your problem whether she had actus rea, the intention to do it because she assaulted somebody, but the mental state isn't there. That's a problem for somebody else down the road. Let that play out when it gets there. No big deal. No big deal. Let it happen. It will peter away. It will disappear. There will be no record of it because it didn't go through the courts. But in that time, you had the Criminal Trespass Act is always available. It doesn't result in charges. It just results in taking people off your property. So, yes,
we have sites in New Westminster.
it's only there and then, right there on the spot. It's just for removal.
Okay.
It doesn't have any carryover, has no other implications to
So
it.
that was, even though it's not our property, we can.
Oh yeah, you have to be the property owner.
But where we're not.
This is a community center, so we would just go to the community supervisor.
Yes, yeah. And you have to be the owner to have that.
Now we have also another site where the owner isn't on site when we're there.
Yeah, so can you have somebody who's the site coordinator that's acting as a delegate? Yeah, then you're in that.
All right.
Well, good question, really good question. Caitlin? Did you have
Oh, it's
something?
okay.
You're
I have
good?
access to you all the time. I'll ask
Yeah,
you
you
later.
can, yeah.
So I just want to check the sense of the room. We've been at this an hour and a half. We kind of promised people that we'd end at about 8:30.
Yeah.
And I want to just give a chance, maybe if there's one more question, people.
That
you
was
know, I don't
very
know if they'll
spicy.
stick
Good
around,
work, you
but
guys.
this-
Yeah.
That was great.
So let me then say thank you so much. We are very glad you've engaged with us. We're glad for the questions and the give and
Yeah.
take and the information. And this is recorded. Tell your fellow volunteers. It will be on our website. They will be able to find it under the policies where we have other safety things. You'll be able to get it there once we get it put up there. So you can come back and look at it again. You can tell to your fellow volunteers, this is our way to support you. We value the work you do. We want to keep you safe. We're doing the best we can to make sure that happens. And let's just say a big thank you to Sahar and Kathy.
Right on. Pat?